Welcome back to Zarathustra Explained. We've just seen the voluntary beggar depart, and Zarathustra is finally alone in his mountains, which is exactly what he wanted.
Right. He's been craving that solitude after all the encounters with the higher men. So, does he finally get some peace and quiet?
Not for a second. As soon as the beggar is gone, he hears another voice behind him, calling out, "Stay, Zarathustra, it is myself, your shadow."
His shadow? That's cryptic. How does Zarathustra react to being called out by his own shadow?
He's completely irritated. He feels like his mountains are swarming with people, and his kingdom of solitude is gone. He says, "My kingdom is no longer of this world. I require new mountains."
So he doesn't even stop to see who it is? He just dismisses it?
Exactly. He thinks to himself, "My shadow calls me? What do I care about my shadow? Let it run after me." And with that, he literally starts running away from it.
That creates a pretty comical image. Zarathustra just took off running.
It gets even more comical. The text describes a scene with 3 runners, one after the other. First is the voluntary beggar, who is still hurrying away.
Okay, so he's in the lead.
Then comes Zarathustra, running away from his shadow. And in third place is the shadow itself, trying to keep up with Zarathustra.
So you have a beggar, a prophet, and a shadow all in a line, running through the mountains. Nietzsche definitely has a sense of humor.
He does, but it doesn't last long. Zarathustra quickly becomes aware of his own foolishness. He stops in his tracks and shakes off all his irritation.
He has a moment of self-awareness.
Yes, he laughs at himself, saying, "Have not the most ludicrous things always happened to us old anchorites and saints?" He realizes how silly it is to be frightened by his own shadow.
He even jokes that the shadow seems to have longer legs than he does.
He does. So he turns around quickly and almost knocks the follower over because he was so close behind. And this is where the tone shifts.
What does he see when he finally faces this shadow?
He's genuinely frightened by the sight. The figure is described as incredibly slender, swarthy, hollow, and completely worn out. It's a pathetic, weak creature.
That's not what you'd expect. A shadow is an immaterial thing, but this is a physical, frail being.
Precisely. Zarathustra demands to know who he is and why he calls himself his shadow, adding, "You are not pleasing to me."
A very blunt assessment. How does the shadow respond to that?
The shadow's response is fascinating. He starts by saying, "Forgive me that it is I, and if I don't please you, well, in that I admire you and your good taste."
So it's self-deprecating right from the start. It agrees that it's unpleasing.
Completely. It then describes itself as a wanderer who has walked at Zarathustra's heels for a very long time, always on the way, but with no goal and no home.
He even compares himself to the wandering Jew, but notes that he's not eternal and not a Jew. It's a powerful image of aimless wandering.
It is. The shadow feels it has become thin, like tired dust that has settled on every surface, mirrors, window panes. It says, "Everything takes from me, nothing gives."
A state of pure depletion. It's been worn down by its constant aimless journey.
And the most important part of that journey, it says, was following Zarathustra. It claims, "I was nevertheless your best shadow. Wherever you have sat, there I sat also."
So this isn't just a random follower. This being is intrinsically linked to Zarathustra's own path.
Yes, the shadow says it has wandered with Zarathustra into the remotest, coldest worlds, like a ghost. It has pushed into all the forbidden, all the worst, and the furthest.
So it sounds like the shadow represents the darker, more nihilistic side of Zarathustra's own journey.
That's a perfect way to put it. The shadow even says that if it has any virtue, it's that it has had no fear of any prohibition.
So it followed Zarathustra in breaking down old values and boundaries.
Exactly. The shadow says, "With you have I broken up whatever my heart revered. All boundary stones and statues have overthrown." It pursued the most dangerous wishes, even going beyond every crime.
This is the embodiment of Zarathustra's transvaluation of all values, but without the creative, life-affirming part that Zarathustra champions.
You've hit the nail on the head. The shadow represents the purely destructive phase. It says it unlearned belief in words, values, and great names.
And there's that striking metaphor about the devil casting off his skin and his name falling away with it.
Yes, the idea that even the name devil is just a skin, a surface. The shadow then quotes its own mantra, which it learned by following Zarathustra. Nothing is true, all is permitted.
That's a hugely famous and often misunderstood phrase. Here we see its consequence, a plunge into the coldest water.
And it left the shadow feeling exposed and empty. He asks, where have gone all my goodness and all my shame and all my belief in the good?
He has deconstructed everything, torn down all the noble lies, and now he's left with nothing, no foundation.
He's lost. He says too much has become clear to him, and now nothing matters anymore. Nothing lives any longer that I love. How should I still love myself?
That's the voice of true despair. It's the abyss that opens up when old values are destroyed, but no new ones are created to take their place.
He has no goal, no haven towards which his sail is set. He doesn't know which way the wind should blow because he doesn't know where he's going.
So he's a ship lost at sea, without a rudder or a destination.
A perfect analogy. He describes himself as having a weary and flippant heart, an unstable will, fluttering wings, a broken backbone.
Just a collection of broken parts. And he says his search for a home has become a sickness, an illness that's eating him up from the inside.
Yes, where is my home, he asks, but the answer is an eternal everywhere, oh eternal nowhere, oh eternal in vain. It's a cry of complete existential homelessness.
Wow, so after this incredibly bleak confession, how does Zarathustra respond? This is, after all, a reflection of himself.
Zarathustra's face lengthens, and he says, very sadly, "You are my shadow." He accepts the connection.
He doesn't deny it. He owns it.
He owns it, but he also sees the danger. He tells the shadow, "Your danger is not small, you free spirit and wanderer. You have had a bad day. See that a still worse evening does not overtake you."
He's warning the shadow, and by extension himself, about the endpoint of this path.
Exactly. He points out that for unsettled people like the shadow, even a prisoner can seem blessed, because at least a prisoner has security and can sleep quietly.
That's a powerful point. The burden of absolute freedom can be so great that the structure of a prison or a rigid belief system starts to look appealing.
And that is precisely Zarathustra's warning. He says, beware lest in the end a narrow faith capture you, a hard, rigorous delusion.
Because the shadow has lost its goal, it has also lost its way. It's now vulnerable.
The ultimate freedom has led to a state where any form of confinement seems like a relief. Zarathustra sees this as the shadow's greatest peril.
So what does he offer? Does he have a solution?
He offers hospitality, not a permanent solution. He calls the shadow a tired butterfly and asks if it wants a rest and a home for the evening.
And he invites it to his cave, right?
Yes, he says, then go up to my cave. He gives the shadow a place of refuge for the night.
But then he immediately says he's going to run away from it again. What's that about?
It's a crucial part of his response. He says, already a shadow lies upon me. I will run alone, so that it may again become bright around me.
So he recognizes the shadow as a part of him, but he also needs to maintain his own light, his own forward momentum. He can't let the shadow's despair overwhelm him.
Precisely. He needs to keep moving, to stay merrily upon his legs. He acknowledges the darkness, but refuses to be consumed by it.
And he ends on a hopeful, or at least active note. He promises that in the evening there will be dancing.
Yes, in the evening, however, there will be dancing with me. It's a promise of future joy and affirmation, a direct contrast to the shadow's weary despair.
So he offers the shadow temporary shelter, but reasserts his own path of active, life-affirming creation. He provides care, but doesn't get dragged down.
That's the balance he strikes. He confronts this nihilistic consequence of his own philosophy, gives it a name, offers it compassion, but ultimately separates himself to preserve his own purpose.
It's a very nuanced interaction. The shadow isn't an enemy to be vanquished, but a dangerous aspect of the self to be understood, managed, and ultimately overcome through joyful creation.
And that sets the stage perfectly for the gathering in his cave, where all these different facets of the higher man will come together. The shadow is just one more guest.
One more piece of the complex puzzle that Zarathustra is trying to assemble, or perhaps to transcend.